I'm going to be using rev.com for the next 8 hours, non-stop typing out hundreds, if not thousands of words without a break. The only question is, can Rev make more money than an average 9-to-5 job? Or are you better off going out to McDonald's and getting a job just for old people to complain to you about a burger you didn't even make? Rev.com is a service that is used for running out captions on videos that clients can request. They can pay to have them made for them. YouTube, like most large social media platforms that use videos, actually make their own captions, but because they're AI generated, oftentimes they're not correct. So if you really want accurate captions, you can pay to have them made by somebody who actually does it for you. And according to rev.com, you can make up to $1.10 USD for every minute you transcribe. At face value, this seems amazing, right? Wrong. Probably won't be a normal job because the minimum wage in my state is $10.10 an hour, which is 10 times that of what Rev offers per minute. So I'm going to work on rev.com for 8 hours straight from a 9-to-5 to see just how viable it is compared to a normal job. Months ago, while I was working on another video, I actually signed up for rev.com and had to do half an hour's worth of work on a test video where Rev had me write out some sample captions to test where I was. But before I was even able to access the first test, they threw a massive wall of text at me to make sure I knew what I was doing so that I could caption things the way Rev wanted me to caption things. Once I read everything and I internalized it, I started working. But here's the thing, the test was easy and didn't take me long. Not to mention, the test was actually just everything you read. You could have just skipped reading everything because they tell you how to do it in the video. The actual test video, you are literally transcribing the tutorial they just gave you. After I typed everything and I synced it up, I completed the job, and not long after, I got an email and it said I was accepted, and I started working. I just completed my first job. I earned about 50 cents, which honestly isn't great, but I do see some jobs on here for as much as $13. And at the time, I didn't think I'd be able to complete that within the 8 hours, but I gave it a try anyways. The sheer amount of writing is pretty demotivating, with 23 minutes of total footage, and with only 7 hours and 30 minutes left to make as much as possible. I was doing fine, but the longer that I worked on this project, the more frustrated I was getting. About halfway into this job, I noticed the audio slowly getting quieter. It was starting to get really hard to understand, and normally this wouldn't be a problem, but the people who submit these are the people who have to fix the audio, so I'd have to reach out and fix it. Thankfully, I was able to figure it out, and I started typing more. With only 6 hours, 33 minutes, and 57 seconds left, I'd only made 58 cents still. I'm seeing a lot of jobs though for like $2 to $3, but the due times aren't super great. They want it back in like 2 hours, which is normally fine, but I'm not good with that. I just found one for like $13, so I'm gonna try that one. If I can complete this job I just found in under an hour, then I'll be back on track. But with how it's looking right now, it doesn't seem likely. Regardless, I kept on working. The video was some form of educational documentary thing where they were showing math and a bunch of different stuff. So there were a lot of scenes where I'd have to go back and double check things because of all the informational words that I couldn't quite understand at first. After knocking out all of the text, I had 4 hours and 28 minutes left, meaning I'd already spent 2 hours on the text alone. The problem that I was running into was how many times I would have to go back and check my work. Like now. I think right now the only thing low-key saving my life are the keybinds. If I didn't have those keybinds, I would be suffering. But at this rate, I don't think I'm gonna finish in time. Once I got to the syncing stage, I noticed a lot of errors. Syncing wasn't as tedious, but it was just as annoying. Sometimes when I synced the subtitles to the words and tried adding another subtitle sync, it would immediately delete the other two. Even though they were still technically there, I couldn't see them, so I couldn't drag them to place them on the correct times, which just made it harder. But with 3 hours 53 minutes left, I still had another 14 minutes of video to sync up. The full video was about 22 minutes, meaning we had only knocked out a third of the syncing step in well over half an hour. The only issue is that the system keeps bugging out and I can't do anything about that, so it's gonna take me a lot longer. Thankfully, the bug stopped happening, and eventually I got back on track. Alright, so I just finished the syncing part and I'm about to hit submit. With just under 2 hours left, I'm not sure what I should do. There are some jobs on here for like $2 to $3 that don't look like they're gonna take long, but I don't know if I should take that risk. So I'm gonna take a risk. We've already used 6 out of the 8 hours that I had originally, and we're sitting at $13.58 made after 6 hours. That is only $2.28 an hour, less than a waitress or a tipped worker makes. In fact, they still make double that. Regardless, let's keep going. The job that I selected was a video about 5 minutes with a deadline of about 2.5 hours. This job was pretty easy. There was a single speaker, so I wouldn't have to do a bunch of different narrators. Normally I wouldn't care, but because we're on such a time crunch and I only have those 8 hours, additional speakers add more work, which will probably be for less, so it's just not worth it. Speaking of work, I'm putting a lot of effort into making these videos as good as possible for you, so you don't have to try the methods and you can find out through me. And if you haven't already, you should subscribe. Also, huge thanks to John Holstead. This video is heavily inspired by him, so go ahead and check out his channel. Not long after I finished the lines for the video, I went back through to make sure I had correct grammar on everything. This way, I wouldn't have to do it during the syncing stage, because during the syncing stage, you can accidentally type in the text box and you'd have to completely redo that text in order to fix it, which I actually did multiple times. I had 35 minutes I have 35 minutes left on this workday and another minute of this video to finish. And as the time dwindled down, I was getting a bit nervous. Still having only made $13.58, I knew the day was gonna land pretty low. Alright, I finished. Now all I have to do is submit my work. And I just made another $2.90, which means I've made $16.48. If these jobs hadn't taken this long, I probably would have made a lot more, but unfortunately I didn't. But you are most definitely better off going out and getting a normal job. Or you could check out one of the videos on the screen right now to find which ones are best for you, because we try them for you. Why not give it a shot?